Hey everyone, it's Joe coming to you from home, and I got my 1986 Goldwing here that I'm troubleshooting. And I know you guys saw the video that I posted last night, and I have been having issues with no spark coming out of the forward spark plugs on the left and right side of the engine. So I got the coil pack out, and I'm going to go ahead and follow the book and do a test. So if you guys see anything that I might have done wrong or might have missed, go ahead and let me know in the comment section, and I appreciate all your advice and all your help. But let's go ahead and get started. Okay, the first check is says, you know, when you're following this troubleshooting tree, it says check for spark at spark plugs. Now I do get spark on the rear spark plugs, the left and right side, but I do not get spark on the forward side. So we're going to do that test. We're going to go ahead and say that there was no spark. The first test is to check for spark plug caps. Check spark plug caps for wear and resistance, and the resistance should be 5 ohms plus or minus 1.25 ohms. Now I got the caps already off. Other than the fact that they're dirty, you know, they can just be wiped down. There's some corrosion right there, but they don't feel dry rotted or unserviceable. I don't see any major tears or cracks, so we'll go ahead and check those. Okay, so here's the first one that I have. I already got the probes set in. I got one lead on the inside of that part of the cap, and the other lead on the other end of the cap. And as you can see by the meter, I'm registering 5.07 ohms, so we are good for that one. Okay, I've got the second cap, and I'm measuring 5.52 ohms for that one, so we're good on this one. Actually, I checked the third one, and that one's a little lower. That one's at 4.27 ohms. So you remember the limit is 5 ohms plus or minus 1.25, so this one's actually good. It's a little low, but that's fine. And this last one, I'm reading 4.86 ohms. Again, the limit is 5 ohms plus or minus 1.25. So either way, we're good. So we're done with this check. Now we'll move on to the next test, which basically says measure cranking voltage, connect DC voltmeter lead to ignition coil BW wire. That's the black and white wire, and then connect the other meter lead to the ground. So we're going to do that real quick, and the voltage should be 9 volts or above. So stand by for that. Okay, I had to change my setup. What I did is I connected some probes so I can I don't have to hold it, so it just basically just fits in there. So this is the power wires right here to the left coil, and that's the power wire to the right coil. And I'm going to check the right side with the key on. You see I'm getting 11.18 volts, and according to the book, if I understand it correctly, it says it has to be a minimum of 9 volts, and as you crank it, there can't be more than a 1 volt fluctuation. So we're looking for no more than 12 volts, no less than 9. So here we go. So you can see that one's good. We actually have less than 1 volt fluctuation, so I'm going to check the other side. Okay, I have the left side connected now with the red lead of the probe going to the black and white wire like the book says, and then of course it says to put the ground negative probe on the other wire, which would be the left coil. And as you can see with the key on, I got no voltage, but as soon as I hit start, oh, that would help if I turn the key on, right? No voltage with the key on. There's the key, you can see it's on. I'm going to try to start it. And after turning it a couple of times, notice, oh, see, it just went away. This is where I think the problem is at. I can't figure this out. On the right side with the key on, with the coil pack for the right, the wires to the right coil pack, just with the key on you get 10 volts. But on the left coil pack supply wires with the key on, you get nothing until you hit the start button. Now it's holding, and then I lose it. So I kind of need some help right here. I'm not sure if it's supposed to do this or not. So this is where I'm kind of confused. And we'll go back to the book, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. And again, if I'm doing this procedure wrong, please let me know. This is on page 15-3 in the manual. And this is the step that I'm talking about right here. It says measure voltage drop Stand by, guys. Okay. Measure voltage drop at coil. Connect meter to coil primary terminals. That's with an S. I'm assuming they're talking about the primary terminals on the right coil and for the left coil. And then the negative to the other terminal, which will be the other wire, which is yellow and blue. Then it says crank and measure the voltage. There should be no more than 1 volt fluctuation. We got that on the right side, but on the left side with the key on, I'm not getting any initial voltage. So I have nothing to gauge that by. So my guess, unless I'm misinterpreting this, is I think there's a power problem for the left coil pack. And that would probably explain why I was not getting any spark on the front two spark plugs. Now, earlier, I went ahead and followed the book, and I had to cut some of the wires on each of the ones because there wasn't much contact left. So I went ahead and did all that, and I checked each circuit, the left side and the right side, and the book says that you're supposed to get 24 volts plus or minus. Let's just look it up. And that's what the cap's on. Oh, it's on page 15-6. All right, right there. Measure the secondary coil resistance with the spark plug caps and wires connected to the coil. And I did. I did the left coil and the right coil. And it says the total secondary resistance should be 24 plus or minus 3.9. And they all passed. And then I went to secondary coil resistance, and that's basically taking the cap off and measuring just the wires. And there should be... Oh, no, I'm sorry. Measure the secondary coil resistance without the resistors, and I did that. And that passed. And then, of course, the last step was secondary resistor resistance 5 plus or minus 1.25 ohms. I did that test. That also checked out. So as far as I'm concerned, unless I know, unless somebody wants to correct me, the coils are good. Although I did find 2 of the spark plug wire caps that were kind of intermitting, but I still don't think that was the reason why the forward spark plugs weren't sparking. Now, it might have been. I really don't know. At this point, to me, it looks like there is a problem with the left power wire to the coil, because the right one comes on with the key, but the left one does not. So I'm going to basically what it says, going back to the flow chart. If no, then problem is in primary circuit. See next page. All right, and that's this part right here. Check pulse coil resistance as shown on page 15-6, which is right here. Here's the connector. Now here's my problem. Here's my other problem. Somebody cut the doggone connector off and they spliced the wires together. So I'm going to check those. I'm just going to do a simple ohms check, but I'm assuming the connector used to be right here. But where I'm having an issue is these wires are all yellow, and I don't see any stripes on them. They're just like all 3 are yellow, but yet in this book it says that the wires are supposed to be white with a yellow stripe and yellow leads, which controls cylinders 1 and 2, and then white with a blue stripe and blue leads for cylinders 3 and 4. And I've got a problem because there's the pulse generator wires, and looking at the book, it does look like there's only 3 of them. So I'm a little confused here, because looking at where they spliced in, all I see is 3 yellow wires, and none of them have any stripes. And I'm assuming this is the pulse generator wire set right here. Now the book also shows a second connector, which is supposed to go right here, but this bike is missing that, so I don't really know what that one's for. I can also see that looks like somebody tried to splice something in down here, unless that's just melted tape, but I'm going to cut that off just to make sure. So I don't really know at this point, so like I said, I can really use some help with this. So if I've done something wrong, feel free to chime in and let me know, guys. Other than that, that's all I have for at this point. I'm going to obviously have to order another starter, because that one's really, really weak. But would love some help, guys. Thanks a lot.